Welcome to winter in Florida. We're Jill and Charles, and we're spending almost 6 months as RV volunteers for the Florida State Parks. Right now, we live at John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park on Key Largo. And just to be clear, we're not representing this park or the state of Florida here. We're just sharing our own personal experience with volunteering. If you're looking for a typical walk-around tour of this popular park, there are dozens of those on YouTube, and this is not one of them. But if you want to see the park from the point of view of a couple who are volunteering in exchange for the privilege of calling this place home for several months, then you're in the right place. Volunteers are really important to the Florida State Parks, and here at Pennekamp, we heard that volunteers put in as many hours as 10 full-time employees. That includes an army of local folks along with resident volunteers like us. Right now, there are 9 campsites occupied by RV volunteers. There are camp host positions and RV volunteers who help in the ranger station, the visitor center, and the maintenance shop. None of those describes what we do as resource management volunteers, but we'll get to that in a minute. It can be tricky to get your foot in the door in the Florida State Parks for a winter experience because, of course, that's the most popular time of year to do it. A lot of people start volunteering during a less popular season. I guess that includes us, since we arrived in October and we'll be done at this park by January. But we've also signed up for what might be the toughest volunteer job at the park. We're called resource management volunteers, and we report to the park biologist. Our job description mostly involves getting rid of plants where they're not wanted. So let's dig into our everyday experience on the job and what it's like to have this place as our backyard. Then we'll share whether it feels like what we get out of it is worth what we put into it. So here's a pretty typical workday. We're getting ready to do some trail clearing at a nearby state park called Dagny Johnson Key Largo Hammock Botanical State Park. It's run by the same staff as Pennekamp, but it has a lot less infrastructure and a lot fewer visitors. It's a 10-minute walk across our home park to check in with the biologist, and if we break a sweat doing that, we know it's going to be a hard day in the field. Then we collect our tools and our work truck. Which is the most beat-up vehicle in the whole fleet. The first few times we used it, the power locks were broken and the air conditioner didn't work, but we're happy to hear that it just came back from the shop. Woohoo! The door opens! But we're actually kind of glad to be driving the beater truck because we take it on narrow roads with overhanging branches and sometimes through a saltwater puddle.
Our work is entirely outdoors, trimming trails and planting plants, and most of the time it's 80 degrees plus. Out in the woods blocks all the wind, so it can be kind of stifling. And it's warm enough for mosquitoes, so we have to spray mosquito crap all over us. But the work itself is not all that difficult.
We're wearing boots and long pants and gloves, and I've got long sleeves on because quite a few of the trees in this forest are poisonwood. If you're familiar with poison ivy, just imagine that growing as a tree, and imagine having to prune some of its branches or pick them up off the ground. Today we're trimming a hiking trail that the forest is trying to swallow up. It's in the 80s and humid, so we have to be careful not to overdo it. We've learned to carry our water with us, so we're not tempted to put off water breaks when we're far away from the truck. Instead of packing a lunch, we prefer to scarf down a few snacks, keep up our momentum, and get finished sooner. I should mention that these trails will actually be a nice place to walk in the winter when it's a little cooler, a lot drier, and not so buggy. The air conditioning works.
It does.
Nice. RV volunteers generally stay for 1 to 4 months, and for each of those weeks, they put in 24 hours per campsite per week. So that's 24 hours if you're single, or if you're putting in volunteer hours, but anyone else living in your camper is not. In our case, we've each signed up for 12 hours per week, and we're able to do our jobs at the same time. So we have a good chunk of time off together each week, which is awesome. And here's the thing about our work days. Or maybe I should say, here's the thing about working outdoors in this weather. When we get home, we are done for the day. We take showers and veg out in the air conditioning, and that's about it. So this next day is for errands. I'm driving our laundry over to the maintenance shop where volunteers are allowed to use the machines that don't cost money to operate. And I get there at the time I signed up for, and someone else's laundry has an hour left on the cycle, which is what real life looks like sometimes when you're living in a community with other people. But I stick it out, and when the laundry's done, it's grocery time. I'll spare you our grocery list, but I do want to mention 3 unique things about going to the grocery store on Key Largo. First of all, there are feral roosters that live in the parking lot. Second, they have an entire aisle dedicated to beach accessories, snorkel masks, fishing poles, and souvenirs. And third, you might end up with a stowaway, like this green anole who must have come from our campsite but apparently wanted to see more of the island. Man, we could bring you home, but how would we do that safely? Which brings us to the fun stuff. We love wildlife, and we were really looking forward to seeing reptiles in Florida. We've not been disappointed. You can see a black racer out hunting on a sunny day. One thing we learned quickly is that if you're staying in Florida for a while and you want to see reptiles, you should definitely let other people know that. Our next door neighbors in the volunteer village were kind enough to let us know when this corn snake was exploring their picnic table. And we only saw these crocodiles because someone knew we wanted to see crocodiles, and they let us know when they were out and about. Now, most of this state park is actually underwater, so that means most of the wildlife is too.
But we do have easy access to launching our kayaks and paddling through the mangroves. RV volunteering makes it a lot more affordable to be able to come and see a place, and we can go swimming whenever we want, snorkeling right around here anytime we want.
Then there was that one time I sent my waterproof action camera with Charles when he had a chance to go out again with our neighbors on their little motorboat.
And when we got out to the main channel, a minute later we saw a pod of dolphins. And I was able to stick the camera down under the water and
But, of course, there are days that don't go according to plan. It's not all rainbows and unicorns here this week. Yesterday, I had a shower that was not as hot as it should have been, and it turns out that there was water leaking from our hot water heater. And before Charles could actually get at the hot water heater, he had to deal with the pile of ants that he found under the dinette cushion. So it's the next morning, and Charles has ripped the entire unit out of the side of the RV, and he's going to bring it to a local welder in hopes that they can fix the leak. Stay tuned.
that's the repair.
So, is it worth it? We might grumble when we're getting bit by no-see-ums or trying to wipe the sweat away from our eyes without getting poisonwood oils on our faces. But, of course, it's totally worth it. Neither of us has ever spent a lot of time in Florida, so we've been exploring the rest of the Keys while they're still close by. And we've been checking out the other state parks in the Keys with our free passes that we earned with volunteer hours. And we're a 45-minute drive from the main entrance at Everglades National Park. But I think we'll save that for another video. Right here on Key Largo, we found a place to buy fresh seafood at a marina where you can watch kids feeding nurse sharks, along with these big fish called tarpon. And a funny thing about the Keys is that there are lots of restaurants on marinas where people feed tarpon. It's kind of a tradition down here.
right now. Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Do you have any strange local traditions where you live? Please let us know in the comments. You are supposed to be a self-respecting wild animal. No, I do not have any food for you.
There's also a lot of things that we're not rich. So there's a lot of things I would do if I had money to take advantage of staying in a place like this. You could take fishing trips and diving trips and all kinds of stuff that cost a lot of money that I'm unwilling to pay. So
What's the hardest part of doing our job?
heat and mosquitoes.
Can you put that in a full sentence?